Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to be talking about what most people call touch, but in the kind of pickup world we call Kino. And I know that it's a big sticking point for pretty much every guy that comes to us for training, and for a lot of guys out there that have a big problem with it. I'm pretty good at it by now, so I'm going to go through basically, I don't know, like 50 or so different types of touch and things that you can go out and apply. You probably want to take notes, and the best thing would be to think about ones that you haven't used before and go out and use them. So I'm going to break down Kino into a few different categories. The first one would be touches that are acceptable with a friend. So if you're talking to a friend who's a guy, you could from time to time rest your hand on his shoulder, you can touch him on the arm to emphasize points, and in situations maybe where you ask a question and then you want to see what they think. So, and what do you think about that? You know, so there's points where that kind of touch is acceptable. If you're talking to someone and your hands are up, so you're gesturing, it's going to be quite natural to touch on the belly from time to time. And again, it's to emphasize a point, it's a gesture like that. All of the way down the arm, sometimes on the small of the back if you're guiding her, sometimes on the shoulder and on the belly. These are the areas where you would often touch if it's that kind of touch that is friendly but non-sexual. It might sound strange to think of touching guys on the belly, but I know a lot of guys that are very sociable and they'll often use that touch to get your attention back. So that's the first type. So you can go out and you can do that and you can not worry about anything. Girls are going to be cool with it. The second type of touch that you can use is you can use touches that are slightly more, they would be more sexual, but you're going to use an excuse to do it. So you can say something like, oh, I like your dress, it's cool how it's got leather here and then it's got that there, it's interesting. I don't see dresses like that very often. Or you can say, oh, I like your earrings, they're nice, they match your dress and your handbag really well. So you're using an excuse to do something that is quite sexual, get close to her ears, but it's cool because you've got the reason for doing it. So maybe she's got a watch on and you can check out her watch, maybe she's got different jewelry. Again, I'm not going to suggest you do the palm reading stuff, it's not 1999, but again, it's that kind of idea that you're using excuses to touch. You might put your arm around and say, look at my friend over there, who are you with? Yeah, I'm with these guys over there. You're doing a touch that is quite a big escalation, but because it's got the excuse, it's fine. So the first type of touch is the non-sexual one, the second is the touch with excuses, and then the next step, which again is a little bit closer to more sexual touches, would be touches that are usually acceptable, but they're the kind of touches you would never do with a male friend. So if you can see the hands here, our hands are going to be touching back to back. So we're having a conversation, but from time to time, our back of the hands are going to touch each other. And this is a kind of touch that is something that is unusual. It doesn't usually happen, but it's not something that's going to freak her out, but it sends a subtle message that something's going on. At the same time, I can use the back of the hand, you know, on the front of her legs, and I could be talking to her and I could rest my hand on her hips like that, and it's a little bit of an escalation, a step forward, but it's not as big an escalation as maybe putting my hands on her face or something like that. So that's the next step. Obviously, the final stage, and I've done lots of videos on this before, the final stage would be the touches that are right before the kiss. And for me, usually, they would be first the kind of hand through the hair and resting the hands here, maybe both like that. And the other one would be talking to her, eyes to eyes, but holding the hands at the same time. It's an unambiguous sexual signal, and it's something that will really dial things up. There are tests you can do all along the way. Obviously, if you go to put your hands through her hair and she recoils, she's not going to be into it. Something quite cool to do is to lead a girl through the club. You take her hand to go and you relax your grip and you see whether she grips your hand hard or leaves it, or you could hold it for a little bit, let go, but leave your hand behind as you walk through the crowd and see if she then takes it again. So you can do lots of tests to see if things are working, but basically if you follow this process, starting with the non-sexual touches and working all the way through, and she's cool with it at every point, then it's going to be on. Some other types of touches that I like, and we can take a seat to look at these. So some cool touches that I like, and I call these ones humorous sexual touches. So something like, you know, I could ask her where she lives, and then she asks where I'm staying, and I say, oh, do you know the main street? So here's the main street, you go down here, and then if you turn left and you come onto this narrow road, and you might know there's this bar there or whatever, and then you carry on around here and you come to my place. But you're doing it all with a bit of a smirk, and you're from time to time looking at her. And you know, the point is that she's going to find it funny, and in the beginning she's going to think you're just showing the directions or whatever, but then it catches on. And it could also be, you know, where you're describing where you live in England or America, and maybe it's a small town, and you say, well, you know, Chicago's here, and if you go from Chicago, you come to the, and it's even funnier if you get further up the leg as you go. You can also use something talking about material. Something I like to do is say, oh, you know, the material this is really nice, you know, it feels so nice, I just can't stop. And again, everything's done with that kind of smirk, and because it's not serious and it's playful, it can't actually be sleazy. So I've got lots of these kind of things. Say, oh, you look freezing, you're really cold, come here, I'll warm you up. And it's a touch that is humorous, especially if you're somewhere boiling. You know, if you're in Brazil in a nightclub and it's 30 degrees, you're like, oh, you look freezing cold. You know, maybe if she's sitting there just with slightly closed body language, it's something funny that would open her up. So I do tons of these kind of humorous ones, and another type that you might do is kind of the cute thing. So you say, oh, you're so sweet, like this, and you kiss her on the cheek, but you make the sound, and so it's non-sexual, but what you're actually doing is you're kissing her, you're calling her cute. So you've got these humorous ones, you've got the sexual ones, you've got the slightly sexual ones, you've got the touches with friends, and you've got the touches with excuse. The final type of touch, actually there's probably more, but the final one in this video that I'm going to talk about is tender touching. So something that I might do is, if we're in a situation like this and I'm kind of chilling in the bar, you can't see my hands, and the only person that would be aware of what my hands are doing would be the girl that I'm doing it to, but I could be just lightly stroking her, you know, so I'm going to have a touch like that on her back, on her neck, or at any point behind. And again, this is not super sexual, but it's a tender touch that communicates something. So, and would be really cool, especially the perfect situation to do it would be when you're talking to one girl about something, blah, 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 but you've got the touch going on with the other girl where you're touching her behind the back. And then you're communicating to this one like, relax, you know, I'm talking to this one, but I really like you. And you've got this situation where only you and her knows what's really happening. So there you go, guys. That's, you know, a quick video with a lot of cool Kino stuff that you can go out and try. Let me know how it works in the comments. Let me know if you've got any questions, and see you soon. Thanks, guys.